Once a superhero, now a simple man. Old Man Logan. Hey everybody, and welcome to Comic Duo with me, Anthony.
I am Mike.
And today is our very first episode, and with it being a very first episode, it's a very special episode.
Special.
And for a very special episode, we need a very special comic. And to me, my most special comic that I own anyway, is Old Man Logan. Old Man Logan is a different universe. He's a pacifist now, and something happened back in the day, and it messed him up, and now he's just, living a life free of violence and no superheroes and stuff like that.
Sounds like a boring Wolverine.
You would think that, but...
Sounds like a boring Wolverine.
It's really not, and you'll see why.
Okay. Well.
So, as we start off the book, it's basically showing that Wolverine is walking through the woods and he's like just torn up, like his suit's all torn up, and he's walking through the woods and he's like broken. He's a man that's been broken down.
He's gotten this shit kicked out of him on this first page, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and so the story opens on him with his wife and kids that he has now, and he's talking to his son about life in general and kind of like being a good person, and the Hulk show up, the Hulk's kids, and they're inbred rednecky kids, and we don't know why right now. Well,
why
I know why, but you don't know why the Hulks are all inbred and bad guys, and so they're coming to collect rent.
Oh, wow.
Because Logan, which is now what he's referred to, he doesn't not go by Wolverine.
No.
Not at all. He hates the name Wolverine
wow.
now. Yeah, he is Logan, hence the name Old Man Logan. And so the Hulks come by, the Hulk's kids, and they're like, "Hey, where's rent?" And he's like, "I don't have it this month." They're like, "Oh, well, we're going to beat the shit out of you." And so he just takes a fucking beating without doing anything to him. Like, he doesn't try to fight back at all.
But he thinks about killing the motherfucker. Yeah,
and it's him like just tearing this guy to pieces. It goes on and it shows that he didn't do that. Like, he took a beating and he got pummeled by 3 Hulks.
He even says, "Yes, sir, I'm ready to take my beating."
Yeah.
Wow, I'm beaten.
Yeah, and they write everything in this book like rednecky, like an apostrophe and anything else that can sound. Yeah. Exactly. It was written in that sense, so you'd read it kind of like an old western. And that's what this book really is. It's like an old western.
This is the oldest I've ever seen Logan.
Yeah. Yeah. He's taking the beating, and his son pulls out a shotgun, and he's like, "You guys better get out of here. Like, leave my paw alone."
Hands off my paw.
Yeah, hands off my paw. And so they're like,
Jeez.
"Kid, you're lucky we have a sense of humor. We'd kill you
and
the rest of your family, And then, after the Hulks are done pummeling Logan, they just leave. And they're like, "You have till next month to get us double the rent for this month and next month, or we're going to kill you and your family."
Jeez, so he's got a month to get
$500.
$500.
Yeah.
Alright.
He's in bed, and his healing factor's not as good as it used to be because he's just older now. He's an older guy. He looks like he's in his early 50s, and so he's laying in bed, and so an old friend drops by, and it's Hawkeye, and he's blind because of his cataracts, and he says, "Wolverine," and he's like, "No, my name's Logan." He's like, "Okay, Logan, I have a proposition for you. I will pay you $500, which is 2 months' rent for Logan."
And that's what he needs, right?
And that's exactly what he needs, so the Hulks don't kill him. He says, "Get me across the country with this box, and I'll give you $500. And he's like, "Okay."
What's in the box?
What's in the box? So everyone just assumes it's drugs because Hawkeye used to be a bad guy.
Really?
Yeah, and, before he was a superhero with the Avengers, he was a bad guy.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was a spy, I believe. And so they take their journey from California all the way to DC. The Spider Buggy was made by Johnny Storm, who made it for Spider-Man because he wanted to do something nice for Spider-Man. This thing could drive up walls and shoot webs, drive on the webs, and you know, like just stupid stuff like that a Spider-Man would not need.
Yeah, what
There's
the
no
hell?
reason for Spider-Man to have a car whatsoever. He lives in New York, first of all, where everywhere in there takes the subway.
I have my own
or a
webs.
taxi.
Why would I need a car with
But yeah,
webs?
yeah, he web slings everywhere. He doesn't need. And when they gave him the car, he wasn't even old enough to drive. He didn't have a driver's license. Well, he was 16, but he
Okay.
didn't have a driver's license yet.
Right,
but they
right.
still gave him a car.
Mm.
So anyway, the United States is split into 4 different sanctioned areas, but there's one big gaping area right in the middle that nobody owns.
And Texas is part of that. Oh,
In
okay.
Texas, yeah.
Go Texas. We are now part of the wasteland.
We are part of the wasteland.
Yeah.
It goes Hulkland, which is former territory of Abomination.
Abomination, yeah.
The Kingdom of Kingpin, which is the Kingdom of Kingpin.
Mhm.
Pretty self-explanatory. And then,
Formerly the domain of Magneto.
yeah, and then the Wasteland in the middle.
Which, why nobody wants that? That's interesting. Okay, well, whatever.
And then Doom's Lair,
Hmm.
and, well, obviously that belongs to Doctor Doom.
Obviously.
And then the President's Quarter. And who the President is? Nobody
And
knows.
they're going from Sacramento to New Babylon. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
New Babylon.
New Babylon.
Okay.
So they start their journey, and they're driving through, and they get to the city, and it looks like all the buildings are sunken in. Logan is like, what's this? And Hawkeye's like, oh, moloids. If you don't know who the moloids are,
No.
there is a supervillain named Mole Man, and he is just the stupidest supervillain ever. And he controls the moloids, or these underground dwelling people, and they look really, you know, like reptilian-ish.
Very strange.
The Mole Man died. So the moloids just went rabid, and they started digging under skyscrapers and buildings, and so they fall in and they can eat the people inside. They're walking through, and they're seeing all these buildings caved in, and there's no survivors, and Logan uses his enhanced sense of smell and can't smell anybody around, so all of a sudden, 3 Ghost Riders appear.
It's very strange.
But not the Ghost Riders.
What is Johnny Blaze?
Not Johnny Blaze or either of the other 2 Ghost Riders. It's
Yeah.
just 3 douchebags on the Ghost Riders motorcycles. How they got them, it doesn't explain. Doesn't matter.
They beat the shit out of Logan.
Well, yeah, they start beating the shit out of Logan, and then Hawkeye just kills them. And
Wow.
that's it for them. Like, they don't matter to the story whatsoever. It's just cool.
Yeah.
Logan got his ass kicked, and Hawkeye's standing there, and he's like, what the hell did they do to you, Logan? Like, why? Like, I thought you were just putting up a front for your wife and kids. Like, like why didn't you fight back? Like, they were gonna kill us. And he's like, I don't do that anymore. Like,
They broke me, bub.
they broke me, bub. Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yep. And
Wow.
and it shows this awesome scene of a bunch of bad guys just like
Yeah,
just like you know, beating him down. Like it shows Omega Red with his adamantium
Yeah.
tentacles coming out of his wrists, and like Sinister and Sabretooth. And that's all it really shows. It shows a hand, a metal hand, but I don't know for sure whose that is.
Yeah.
After the Ghost Riders are gone, they keep going, and they get to a town in the Kingpin's territory. And in this town, Hawkeye's like, oh hey, we need to make a pit stop here. So this pit stop is to meet Hawkeye's ex-wife, who is Peter Parker's daughter, and she is now married to Ultron 8. And Ultron, like from Age of Ultron, where he took over the world and tried to kill everybody, basically same guy, but he's really super nice, and it doesn't elaborate why, but he's really nice and it's cool. And Hawkeye has a daughter with Peter Parker's daughter, and she's with this movement, a rebel movement, to take over the Kingpin so they can just get rid of all the tyranny, and the Kingpin has put the whole area that he owns under.